Okay. If all has gone according to plan, then I think I should be up and running now. Um, let's see. This is the beginning of day one of a live stream series I do roughly about twice a year now that I've been alternating between calling Solo Tabletop Game Fest, just general games that I play solo that have some kind of usually fantasy element to them. I think always they've had some kind of fantasy element. Well, except for when I played Doom. Um, and then alternate the other time doing Solo Tabletop Dungeon Fest. Now this would be time to do Game Fest, but I think I just found during the last one or two of these that I was really liking, and the viewers were really more interested in two games in particular: HeroQuest and Four Against Darkness. And so I'm just going to continue with that, and probably just continue to make these, twice annual solo tabletop dungeon fests, and stick with these games at least until I think I'm done with all of the base campaign missions for HeroQuest. There's a reprint of this game not too long ago. They did a really nice job. I'm sticking with just my original set, and I've added a bunch of rules that I'm experimenting with. I don't recommend them, especially in a group play session, because that could cause things that other people don't like. But for myself, I'm trying to add some variety, some flavor with different mechanics, with a bunch of monsters. I use minis from other games, namely Descent First Edition and a few from Second. Just to give it a little bit of extra flavor and variety, but really without doing too much, hopefully, to make the game more complex. Because one of the beautiful things about HeroQuest is really how streamlined it is, especially compared to many games inspired by it that became increasingly complex and eventually would get kind of bogged down. Now, with my rules, I can find that things are getting bogged down more than I want, and especially during a live stream where I'm having to, for your sake, talk through my thinking. These quests take way longer than they would otherwise take if I were just playing by myself and keeping all my thoughts to myself. I would fly through turns so much more quickly. So you shouldn't take these these live streams sessions as indications of how long a game will take using these rules. If you're interested in playing around with my rules, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't, there should be a link below, whether you're watching this live or the archived version, to where I posted the rules on Board Game Geek. Okay, so we finished Quest 4 last time, which, let me refresh my memory, was Prince Magnus's Gold. And I've been house ruling even along the way, making some calls along the way, continuing to follow the wise sage advice I heard from someone online regarding solo play. If you're having fun, you're doing it right. So I make no claims that any of my rules choices are going to be consistent, either with the original rules or the ones that I have come up with, or that they're going to be quote-unquote fair or balanced. I just do this for fun. If I was playing with other players, it would be a whole different ball of wax, but it's just me, and so I'm just doing what I want to do when I want to do it, as inconsistently and as accidentally as I want. So anyway, the reason I said that is, at the end of Quest 4, Prince Magnus's Gold, the heroes are supposed to bring back 3 chests of gold that each contain 250 gold coins. And the rules state that you're not able to open up these chests. Hi, Stuart. Thanks for coming and jumping in the chat. But I'm thinking to myself, and probably every player has thought to themselves, well, of course I should be able to break those open. Why even bother telling me that there's 250 coins in there if I can't break them open? And so I talked through my whole thematic reasoning last time, and I busted those chests open. So in terms of the design and the story, I actually didn't complete that quest as intended. In the story, you presume that you get the chests out and then you take them to Prince Magnus, and then he rewards your party with a total of, I want to say, at most 500 coins or something. What was that reward? Oh no, it's not even that. It's 240 gold coins to be divided among the heroes if you return 3 chests containing 250 coins each. No. So we kept the gold, and if anything, reported back to Prince Magnus, hey, we got there, They were broken and empty. Somebody got to him already. I don't know what happened, Prince. So something along those lines. And we kept that money. Which means now, as I have my camera pointed at the shop, I have way more money than heroes would typically have at this point, which means that I am going to feel all the more free to really go hard on myself, at least on this next quest, and maybe the quest going forward, because I am unbalancing things a bit. However, in a traditional game of HeroQuest, I have to say I was looking at how many potions my characters each had, and by this point, with the way I play under the standard rules, I would have accumulated so many more potions. And so I am feeling a little bit light on potions. I don't know if I'm going to spend any here, but I thought I would, instead of doing this off camera, I thought I would spend a little time going through my process of making purchases and kind of talking through my reasoning on that. Now this is the Alchemist shop that comes with the expansions, at least the American expansions, but this came with Return of the Witch Lord. I also have Keller's Keep, and they have the same Alchemist shop here. And you've got, I guess, some okay choices, but man, that Potion of Restoration, way too pricey. 500 gold coins for one of these, and it just restores 1 lost body point and 1 lost mind point. Now, under the expansion rules even, mind points, while they do become a little bit more valuable, don't become that much more valuable. Actually, using my solo rules for trap detection, avoiding traps and stuff like that, mind points are much more relevant. But still, in the base game, you're not really losing mind points. I don't think there is a way for you to lose mind points, except for maybe one of the creatures that I've introduced that has rules that could drain your mind points or something. So that is just really not worth the money. So I put these up here just to kind of put them up here. Really, I'm looking at all of these options here and trying to figure out what I want to do. Let's start with my Barbarian Thundar. Like, the ideal place I have right now 1,108 gold coins. And the place I'd like to get to is to have as many characters as possible have a battle axe and a crossbow. With the rules that I've always played with, you don't need like a turn to switch weapons. You just, on the fly, your guys are awesome and can just swap out weapons right at the start of their turn, and it doesn't delay their ability to attack or anything like that. You'd certainly see that in many other HeroQuest inspired games. But he's got a broadsword right now, which just gives him 3 combat dice plus 1. Using the house rules I'm playing with, the Barbarian always gets a plus 1 die to whatever his weapon allows. So 3 plus 1. I'd like to get him that battle axe to get him 4 plus 1, but I'd also like to get him diagonal attacking. 450, that's quite a bit. Do I want to go offense or defense? Because right now the only armor he has is a helmet. I don't want to give him plate mail. I don't know that I've ever purchased plate mail. Hi, Brian. Says, love your videos, bud. Keep it up. Thank you so much. The plate mail has never felt worth it to me, because you have to... it's so heavy, you may only roll 1 red die, 1 six-sider, in other words, for movement while wearing it. Now, you can find, and I will find at some point in one of these quests, an artifact that has the defensive power of the plate mail but doesn't slow you down. And so I'm just going to hold out for that, and until then, I think I'm going to do chainmail. Do I want to give that to the Barbarian? I usually put him right up front. I think since he's already got the helmet, and I don't want to give him a shield because I aim to give him a battle axe, and you can't use the shield with a battle axe. Gosh, have I been following that rule? I wonder if I've totally just been missing that for a long time. I am going to... let's see, 450. So that's going to be 950. Let's see. Get out my calculator because I suck at math, especially when I'm trying to multitask. My gosh. Minus 950. That would leave me with 158. I think I'm content with that. That's gonna make my Barbarian quite the powerhouse. Let's see. Do I want to give his broadsword? You know what? Yeah, I will give his broadsword to the elf, who up to this point has just been using a short sword. So I don't think anybody else needs the short sword. So I will sell the short sword and get 75 coins back. So that leaves me with 233 coins. Oh boy, racing's going to shake my camera every time I do it, huh? But that's going to be nice because that brings my elf's attack from 2 attack dice to 3. And just 1 die really does make a difference. Still no potential for diagonal attack, but now we've got a rockin' barbarian who can stand in the doorway. That's most often how I'm going to use him. And be the front line of both attack and defense whenever we're entering a new room. And then with the chainmail, so his attack now is up to 4 plus 4 plus 1. So he's going to be rocking 5 attack dice. And then defense dice, that he's up to 4 now. Okay. So yeah, this is, if you want to see my table set up for a second here, this is where I've got my characters. I got these tokens here that I will try to remember to flip so that as I'm talking, if I was playing this game solo, I probably wouldn't need these, but just as I'm live streaming and talking, can get on rabbit trails, I need some kind of reminder of like, okay, who has taken their turn and who hasn't. I've got their cards for their special abilities, and then I've got the spell cards out. I'm giving all but the Earth spell group to the wizard. That's just kind of traditionally how I do it. I think I've changed it up a few times, but then the elf is going to get the Earth spells. So I think that might bring our shopping to a close here. Hey, Garavik the Noble the Third, thanks for jumping into the chat. Good to see you in there. I think, let me see, can I do anything with that with 233 coins? I almost just left it saying 23. 233, thank you. I can't even quite afford a broadsword, and certainly not a crossbow, which would be maybe the next thing I have my eye on. What about a helmet? No, all my guys that can wear helmets have helmets. How about a shield? Maybe a shield. Should I give the shield to... Oh, that's interesting. The shield can be... It says may not be used with the battle axe or the staff, but it doesn't say crossbow. So I don't know how that works, but okay. I'll take it. Let's see. I think that both the dwarf and the elf right now have 3 defense dice. The elf has 1 less body. I think I'm just gonna want to have a... Should we give it to the dwarf? Maybe we should. I feel like he's kind of my second line of defense. Let's just get a shield now. And I can decide if I want to swap it around later on. But, let's see. So, minus 150. That leaves me with 83. And yeah, I think I'll give it to the dwarf. Which brings his defense dice up to 4. He's got the crossbow, so I'm going to, I think, tend to try and have him in a diagonal position off to one side of the door that the barbarian's at, so that he can be shooting in with that crossbow. That's the ideal place. Ideally, eventually I want the elf to have that too, so we got the barbarian at the door, and we got the dwarf and the elf on each side that are able to also contribute their crossbow attacks. But with the rules I've added for Reckless Charge, it's not a guarantee that we'll be able to bottleneck enemy forces at the door. So, which I do like that. I like at least having the option to break that bottleneck. But I think that's going to take care of our shopping. Yeah. So, let me, actually, before anything else, I need to set my timer just so I remember every once in a while to stop and restart my recording. Otherwise, when this is all done, I'm going to have a massive 4 or 5 hour video to edit. All right. Okay, so let me adjust this camera and show you where my guys are at this point on the board. It's their starting position. Okay. So this is Quest 5, Melar's Maze. Melar's Maze? Probably Melar. That sounds a little more wizardly than Melar. Melar sounds a little bit dorky. Melar sounds just that much closer to grand and imposing. Okay, so let me read the flavor text here. Melar's Maze. Long ago, a powerful wizard by the name of Melar created a talisman of lore, which would enhance the wearer's understanding of magic. It is rumored that Melar hid the talisman in an underground laboratory at the heart of his maze, fearing it might be stolen by the evil minions of Zargon. As you search for the talisman, beware of many traps and deadly monsters. Now, there's a couple things I would want to note at the beginning here. Using my rules for traps, I've actually cached in all of the traps on the board for points using kind of a system that I came up with. And instead, what I do is, and I'll probably forget this a number of times, but anytime a hero enters, not reveals, but actually enters, I believe, enters a new room or corridor, I roll one of these combat dice, and on a skull or a black shield, it triggers the most expensive quote-unquote trap that I can afford. Again, I'm using a point system, and there are point values for each trap. And I've got threat. Right now I have 5, 10, 15, 23 threat that I will try to spend probably exclusively on traps. That's just always how I've been, like playing, say, the Overlord and Descent, because I find that just dropping a trap on the heroes gets the damage done, and then it's over, instead of like putting more monsters on the board and just having to play out more and more combat. So I imagine I'm going to be using quite a bit of that. Let's see here. In this quest, I'm only allowing myself to spawn spear traps, and they cost 5 threat each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I could already spawn 4, and I'll be gaining threat along the way as I play. Let's see. What else would I want to cover? Nothing else that I can think of at the moment. So yeah, let's just get into it here. We're going to start with the Barbarian's turn. Looks like everybody I made sure was up to their full health and whatnot. He's going to go just right here, and I have got to start searching for treasure. I've just got to. Because right now, although everyone's at full health, the Barbarian has 1 d6 healing potion. The Elf has none. He does have a healing spell, but he has no healing potions. The Dwarf has 1 healing potion, and the Wizard has 1. And that's a bare minimum to start with, so I need more. I've already shuffled my treasure deck. Excuse me, so the Barbarian is searching for treasure. Wandering Monster, right off the bat. Yay, okay. Crap. So, the Wandering Monster in this quest is a zombie. Now, according to my rules, I can choose to put out a monster that is equivalent or weaker than the Wandering Monster. When I'm spawning a monster using threat points, it has to be only weaker than on my chart. But this chart is based on the back of the Game Master or Zargon player screen that kind of ranks the enemies from at the top, the weakest, to the most powerful at the bottom. And so when I came up with monster equivalents, I made this conversion sheet to kind of figure that out. So let's see here. We're looking at zombies, so I could put out a regular zombie, a putrid zombie, a shade, and all that other stuff above it. I think, this is the other thing I was going to say, I'm trying to, this time, narrow the custom monsters that I use to something that's going to fit the theme. I don't think I did a good job of that last time. I want to constantly be thinking about the theme. What's a little bit odd to me is that most of the monsters in this quest, as designed, are undead. You've got skeletons, zombies, mummies, and you've got a few orcs. and 1 gargoyle. And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, maybe these are undead experiments specifically, but all it says about this place thematically is it's maze-like and it's a laboratory. And so I'm kind of giving myself the freedom to maybe spawn creatures. Sure, undead is fine, but maybe also just whatever most bizarre-looking creature I might have that would be eligible to be spawned. I'll kind of be going for that too. So that's kind of my thinking as I head into this. But for this first time, let's just put out the regular wandering monster. Let's see. There we go. And I'll try to remember, as I always like to do, to give you guys a look at the mini before I put it out. So this is the original HeroQuest zombie mini. I think a lot of people agree that these minis really hold up from the original game. So he is going to spawn right here and make his attack. Let me get out the card for the zombie. Hey, Master of Magnetism. Thanks for jumping in the chat. He says, hello, how's it going? It's going well so far. I had a big weekend, and so I'm wondering just kind of what my focus and energy levels are like. The schedule that I made for doing this week is a little bit longer each day than it was the last time and maybe the time before. I might end up modifying that if I feel like my focus is leaving. Because as the day goes on, I do tend to lose a little bit of focus. Anyway, let's see here. Oops. I gotta keep that from going to sleep. I need to get into my settings or something and keep that from happening. Alright, so this is the zombie. He's got an attack of 2, a defend of 3, a body of 1. I've never liked these stats for a zombie. Because the defense I think of as that's your ability to avoid damage altogether, and the body is your ability to just kind of take damage and keep going. And zombies are not spry, and so I've never liked this defense 3. I did try to swap it. You can see my pencil mark there. I tried to give him a defend of 1 and a body of 3, but I don't think that played as well as I'd hoped, so we'll stick with this for now. Attack 2, defend 3, body 1, mind 0, and move 5, with the ability Disease. And let me remind myself, as well as you guys, since it's the beginning of the week and I've really forgotten, where are my rules for that? The special abilities that can be triggered... oh, here we go. Back here. So monsters each now have 1 special ability, which is inspired by Descent, first edition. And their special abilities trigger on... What do they trigger on? I had that somewhere. I think it's on a 4 through 6, and then there are some that only trigger on a 5 through 6. So there's a 50-50 chance of their special ability triggering. And in the case of Disease, let's look up that. Targeted hero places a poison/disease token on their character sheet, and I just use tokens from defense for that. Lost my place. Yeah, so they put a token on their character sheet. At the beginning of every turn, they roll 1 combat die per token. On a skull, they lose 1 body point. On a white or black shield, you remove the token. You remove all tokens of that type from any hero who drinks a healing potion or is the target of a healing spell. And this status has no effect on rock skin. So that's what we're looking for here. I don't always feel like trying to trigger the abilities, even though they're cool and thematic. On a 50-50 chance, it's a bit of a risk, but of course, I could always whiff with an attack too. So let's go ahead and just for fun, we'll have... Oh, you know what? That's right. One of my rules for specifically wandering monsters is that when they show up, I can choose to have their ability auto-trigger instead of attacking. So yes, I will. I will have him auto-trigger, which means now that one of these tokens from Descent that represents poison is going to be placed on the Barbarian. So he's going to have to deal with that at the beginning of his next turn, and maybe multiple turns. But that's the end of the Barbarian's turn. Now the Elf is going to go. He can't search for treasure. Got to try and get rid of this zombie here. As a reminder, for those who have forgotten, and also to help me remember, I can choose to move an automatic 6 spaces without rolling the 2 6-sided dice you traditionally roll in this game. Or if I want to do what I call sprint, you can roll the 2 dice and take whatever result. If you get more than 6, hey, it means you were sprinting, running, going extra fast, but there's a risk to it. You could end up rolling less than 6, and that represents stumbling, or not being careful enough as you're sprinting, and so you actually move a shorter distance than you would otherwise. So, let's see. Elf gets 3 attack dice. Oh, that's right. I gotta try and roll within the camera's range here. Oh, nice! I don't think there's any way he can survive that. Well, actually, no, he does technically. He's got 3 defense dice. So we'll see how this works out. Yeah, that would have had to have been all black shields. So he's gone, and I roll, according to my rules, 1 6-sided die to see if I get any kind of loot off of his body. On a 5, I get 25 gold coins. On a 6, I get a healing potion. Neither of those this time. So that's the end of the zombie and also the end of the elf's turn. So now coming over to the dwarf. The dwarf is going to see if he can find some treasure. Going to come right here and search. What do we got? Gem. Hey, okay. I'll take it. I want a healing potion, but I'll take a gem. Tucked into the toe of an old boot, you find a small gem worth 35 gold coins. Record this money on your sheet. Do not return this card to the deck. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, I think, well, I'll just add it up later. Let's do 83 plus... Oh, wait, no. I don't even write it usually. I just keep the, what do you call it? Keep the card. Keep the card. So I'll slide that under the dwarf's character sheet. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. So that's the end of the dwarf's turn. Wizard's turn. I'm not feeling quite greedy enough to have the wizard search for treasure. I'm just going to have him stay put, because as long as he's on those stairs, he's actually hasn't entered the game yet, or the game space. So if more monsters appear, they can't attack him while he's safe on the staircase. Okay, so then I think if there's no monsters on the board, or maybe even if there is... What did I do? What did I decide with my solo rules there? There's reckless charge, threat tokens. Here we go. If I want to increase the challenge, I can place a threat token behind Zargon's screen at the start of each of his turns. And so, yeah, I think I'm just going to stick with that. I'm actually not using threat tokens, though. It just gets too fiddly, so I'm just going to give myself another threat. And I gotta remember when I go through that door to trigger a trap. Okay, so that's the end of Eldorad's turn. That's the end of Zargon's turn. So we flip everybody's tokens. And we start again with the Barbarian's turn. He's already searched for treasure in this room, so he's basically done at this point doing anything exciting here. So we're going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to open the door while he hovers there waiting for that to happen. And then there's nothing immediately out there that would prevent him from going 3. So I'm going to set up this hallway, and then we're going to roll for that trap. He's moved 3 spaces so far. That's the entire hallway. So there's another room here, blocked off there. Could still go around this corner. I don't know what the best view is. Let's try that. That's a pretty decent view. Okay, so now we need to roll, and on a skull or a black shield, a trap is going to trigger. All right, we did get a skull, so that means that a spear trap triggers. And so I will take off 5 threat, and I think... Let's see, I gotta see how that works in the original rules. I can never quite remember. Spear traps. Oh, you just roll 1 combat die, and if you roll a skull, you take 1 body point of damage. I think for years, playing this with my friend, we forgot that there's a roll involved. You just automatically take the damage, so let me actually roll for that. All right, so it's a white shield, so he did manage to dodge that trap. Man, I almost kind of want it to be automatic. Anyway, I'll think about that. So that's the end of... whoa. Not the end. I forgot at the beginning of the turn to deal with this poison token. Or disease token or whatever. I guess it'd be disease in the case of... the zombie, but I just used one token for both thematically. So beginning of his turn, I should have done this. Roll a combat die for every token he has. Oops, that's a 6-sider. Okay, so this is a skull, so he loses 1 body point, and he keeps that token. So that sucks. So now the barbarian's at 7 body points. Yeah, and beyond that, there's nothing he can do to try and get rid of it. It's that roll is both to see if he takes damage and to see if it goes away, so he's stuck with it. All right, so now that's the end of the barbarian's turn. For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.